Ah, okay, I've been wasting time for 2 seconds. So I know that this review is coming at kind of an inopportune time, seeing how Halloween was last week, and this movie is already released past the 40th anniversary of the original. But we are reviewing once again, as it says right below the screen. Excuse me. I am reviewing the 2018 sequel, sequel of Halloween and Halloween 2018, which will make it the third movie with the title just being Halloween if you exclude the dates, you know. So this movie, it completely ignores all the other sequels and the remakes that Rob Zombie did. And so I'm almost kind of going into this movie sort of blind, because the only Halloween movie I've seen is the original, and I've seen the original 3 times. And I feel like with this review, there's probably going to be a lot of points where I compare and contrast the original to the remake. Not necessarily to say which one is better, because this is a review, not a crappy version of old versus new from the used to be cool nostalgia critic. Yeah, I think that guy has kind of lost a lot of fandom or fans since the change for channel movement, but again, that's way off topic. So, the plot of Halloween, it's kind of like a rehash of the first movie, but it's also a continuation of the series, and it has a lot of new elements in it too. So the story is that Michael Myers, Big Shock, escapes from being in the asylum after doing a bus transfer. And sadly, they don't show us a cool action scene like they do in The Fugitive, but it's a horror movie, not an action film. So Michael Myers escapes, and a emotionally stunted and traumatized Laurie Strode, who's been biding her time for Michael to come out to kill him, now springs into action to try to keep her family safe from Michael Myers, her estranged family, while also trying to come to terms with what happened 40 years ago. That's pretty much the main plot of the movie. And I'll try my best to review this film without giving away major spoilers, but I feel like the people, like the 2 people that actually watch these videos that I make, might have either they've seen the movie, or they're going to, or they don't care. So anyway, so the one thing I will say about the movie, I want to talk about the good stuff first, because there's a laundry list of good stuff to go through. One is that I feel like for a movie that is being made for 40 years after the original, this is probably the best way you can come up with. It's kind of like Aliens, where it's more action oriented than its predecessor. I mean, for one thing, Michael kills a lot more people in this movie than the original. In the original Halloween, I think he only kills maybe three, four. I think he only kills 5 people. His sister, um, Annie, Linda's boyfriend, and well, actually no, he kills 2 dogs and a mechanic. So he kills 7 people. In this one, the kill count is like almost triple. And there was one scene in the movie where Michael Myers is just going in and out of houses and just brutally murdering everyone that's in his path. And it doesn't get so much gory as it gets bloody, because the only real gory kill is at the very end, where the psychiatrist of the film gets killed. And even though that was a really gory scene, that does lead to one of my problems with the movie. But I'm not done with I just started talking about the stuff I can praise it for. Um, and Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in this movie, it's actually really good, because she does a really good job at nailing a recluse who is living in the past and is seemingly afraid of the past and unable to move on. but you can still tell that she's kind of like a war veteran in a way. She went through a horrifying experience at a young age, and she hasn't quite been able to shake off her demons. She's had two ex-husbands, and she's been a bit of an alcoholic since then. So, I mean, and to be fair, the alcoholism isn't that severe because we don't see her drunk throughout a good chunk of the movie. The only time we see her being a heavy drinker is when she takes a wine glass at a restaurant and starts guzzling the red wine down. And another thing I really like about this movie is that the majority of the characters in this film are actually really likable. We got Lori, we got Lori's daughter Karen, we got Lori's granddaughter Allison, and we got Lori's son-in-law. I think the guy's name is Ray. And one of the rare things I've seen in a movie is that, in a horror movie, is that Allison has a boyfriend, and throughout the majority of the first third, everyone seems to get along well. It's just Lori is kind of the odd one out, you know? But I can't tell you how many times we've seen movies where the boyfriend, where the boyfriend seems likable, you can buy that he's likable, and the dad actually likes the guy. Because we've seen it so many times where either the dad hates the boyfriend or the mom hates the boyfriend or they both. But yeah, but then again, that does kind of lead into a dramatic, well, not dramatic. It does kind of lead into a reveal that the boyfriend is actually a cheating asshole when he goes to a party with Allison and he gets drunk and starts making out with some other girl. And then, yeah, honestly, what I really liked about the movie is that it is kind of is that Allison she's just as strong-willed and as tough as Lori can be, you know. And I think it kind of comes from the fact that Allison was raised by her mom, who was raised by, a training paranoid survivalist, essentially. Um, so yeah, all the characters are great. There are a few reveals of characters that end up being assholes. The sad thing is, only one of the asshole guys that Allison's friends with gets a comeuppance. The boyfriend gets nothing. You know, like he like they drop him from the movie, and it's like when we see him, we see him, especially after he you know cheats on Allison and tries to BS his way out of it. I think everyone in the theater is going to be thinking, okay, this guy is totally going to get killed somehow. But no, after Allison and the guy break up, you never see him again throughout the movie. But then again, to be fair, if he did die, that would have been very predictable and very cliched. But anyway, what I also like too is that the child actors in this movie are actually really good. The child actors in the first movie were kind of bland and emotionless, but then again, they're child actors. You're not really expecting them to turn in Oscar performances. And there's one kid I like that's being babysat by one of Allison's friends, and Allison's friend, I think her name is I'm just gonna say her name is Kendall. I can't think of it. So Kendall is trying to convince this little kid to go upstairs, and the kid can tell she's using euphemisms for weed, and the kid catches on that the friend just wants him to go to bed so she can do debauchery. And he's like, "Look, I know what weed is. Don't bullshit me." I mean, he doesn't say that exactly, but that's pretty much the mindset that the kid's going with. And it's also really cool to see Michael Myers run off, try to warn the friend's boyfriend that he's gonna line himself up for death if he tries to go up there. So, hands down, the smartest kid in this movie. And what I also like about the movie is that um it does combine more action scenes and suspense, so it kind of meshes that together and does its own thing. So that's really cool. And I think my here are my complaints with the movie. One, and fortunately, much like the boyfriend, they abandoned this story after it starts to reach its point. The movie starts with these podcast people trying to do a documentary on Michael Myers 40 years after the fact, and a part of me is kind of thinking, why? I mean, I can understand a curiosity behind Michael, but I feel like it's not needed. It's unnecessary. If Michael refuses to speak, what's the point? And what could we possibly learn from this guy that we haven't learned for 40 years? There's a lot of talk about trying to reach Michael, but I think at this point, trying to reach him is like trying to tell a wall, like the wall behind me, it's like trying to tell that wall to change a different paint color. It's not going to happen. And the people in the podcast, they are kind of idiots. They bring Michael's Halloween mask to the sanitarium where he's being housed, and then they try to bring this up to Laurie, and they try to get Laurie to sympathize with Michael. It's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Tell the victim, tell the would-be victim of the slaughters in the 70s, tell her to try and talk to the guy that almost killed her when she was a teenager. That's a great idea. That was really stupid. And then the part that really annoys me about this is that if you cut that story out of the film, it really wouldn't have played out that much differently. Because the two podcasters, spoilers, they get killed off about halfway through the movie, so that story was completely useless and it added nothing other than to throw in, a few characters for the monster to kill. And the psychiatrist, Dr. Sartain, who was apparently a student of Dr. Loomis, and they even say you're the new Loomis, which I don't think we needed to hear that. I think we're smart enough. If we've seen the Halloween movies, I think we're smart enough to figure that out without you saying it. But the one part that I don't get is that there's a scene where he goes crazy and kills someone to save Michael, and then tries to use Allison to get in touch with Michael, and then drives the car to get Michael to Laurie so they can try and talk. It's just like the doctor going crazy. I don't get it, because he seemed like a rational person at first. He didn't really seem that desperate to get in touch with Michael. He seemed level headed, but then as the movie progresses, it just that twist just comes out of nowhere. And I understand that the idea is that, oh, it's a twist that you didn't see coming. Well, okay, I didn't see it coming, but a twist has to sort of make sense whether you see it coming or not. And with this one, it's like even if I go back to watch the movie a million times, I'm still not going to get why the hell he went that route. That just seemed way out of left field. Um and I feel like this movie, I mean, those are really only my two major complaints with the movie. With the other, well, I really can't. Those are the two big complaints I had about the film. And for the most part, I think the movie's really good. I mean, it's not. I don't know if I'd ever say it's great. The first one's considered to be a classic. This one, I think, was a very good follow up. If they make a sequel, this is going to be a tough act to follow. But I don't know. I think these guys were on the right track with this one, so they'll probably do well with the sequel if they make it. So that's my review, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.